Good morning, everybody. My name is Tyler Ford. I'm Senior Director of Mentors with tnAchieves. And we appreciate you for making time to join our Handbook Introduction webinar this morning. Really, the purpose of this webinar is just to share with you one of the most important resources you've got available as a mentor, one of the most important tools that's going to guide your work with students and your time answering their questions and supporting them through the college going process. So we're going to take some time to introduce that handbook, to share with you some of its most important pages, tools, all of that good stuff. And we've got one of my colleagues who's on the webinar today, Ben Sterling, who's going to help us to walk through that. So Ben, really appreciate you making time to join us this morning.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
So here you're going to see the homepage to the Mentor Handbook. And before we jump in, I want to kind of ask a few general questions to Ben here. Um, First one, and it's the most popular question we get this time of year, is how do mentors receive their handbook?
Yeah, great question. Every year, it's always we're in years past we've mailed these, and so it's always been a just relying on the postal service to get it to you. And if it's delayed there, then it's kind of out of our control. This year, good news is we control the distribution of handbooks, and they're going to be distributed at mandatory Tennessee Promise meetings. So when you come to your meeting here in the next couple of weeks, you're going to get your handbook there, the hard copy in person. For some of you, that meeting is coming up next week. So you'll get your handbook next week. They're in our office ready to go. If you have a meeting that's in January or February, obviously you'll have to wait a couple of weeks to get the hard copy, but we do have the electronic version on our website ready for download, available for you. If you just go to tnAchieves.org/handbooks, we'll get those. We'll get that available to you. I'll actually put it in the chat too, so that they can get it there.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, we will make sure you've got the handbook. And again, know that, especially in those Monday emails that we send to you, and we'll talk more about those later, the handbook is going to be a pretty constant resource that's referenced. So a digital copy is never going to be too far from you. But of course, attending that mandatory meeting will get you that physical copy. Ben, next question I got for you is when mentors get the handbook this year, if they've mentored before with us, they may notice the handbook is a little bit thinner. Can you talk us through that change, and can you talk us through where mentors can continue to find resources that maybe used to be in the mentor handbook but aren't this year?
Sure. Yeah. I was looking at the participants. I saw Frank Rothermel on here, who's mentored for many years, and William Fisher. So we got people that have mentored for a long time with us. And so this will be a change when they get their mentor handbook. When you guys get that, you'll see that it is significantly shorter than it has been in years past. We used to produce a nearly 30-page student handbook. And when you look at the mentor handbook, it's really based on the student handbook content. And so because we've shortened the student handbook down to 12 pages, the mentor handbook is shorter as well. We've realized that the handbook really serves students for a few months, right? From the time of their mandatory meeting through really they graduate high school and sort of start making that final decision in terms of where they're going to go to college in the fall. And so the student handbook this year, we've cut all the things that were communicating information, the pages that were communicating information for later on in their college career when the handbook was lost and no longer a resource to them. And so because we've cut it down, we're focused more on the college access piece and what they need to know now as far as succeeding in this college access process. Because of that, when you look through the mentor handbook, and we'll go through it here in just a minute, we've got 4 pages of mentor content. And then the rest of the handbook is the student handbook, exactly copy that you're going to see. Because of that, we did lose some additional information that we may have had in the mentor handbook in years past. You can see all of that information on our website. We're never going to get rid of those resources for you. We're just moving them to an electronic version on our website. In the mentor resources, we'll be able to provide this year PDF downloads and things of information that you need to help you find success as a mentor. And one of the benefits of having that as an electronic resource moving forward is that should a date change, if you've been around a while, you know that things like that can happen throughout the year. If that type of thing happens, then it's not just printed in your handbook and you have to try to figure out, oh, okay, which date changed. The information that we put on our website will be the latest and the most up to date. So the handbook is still very much useful. Don't hear me by saying that it's not. It's actually, I think, better now than it was before because it's more condensed and it's providing more real time information that students need.
What I love about the handbook, Ben, this year that we've done is, I mean, I think that if you get the handbook as a mentor, in your first week working with students, it is still your roadmap to the year as a mentor. It has everything you could need to serve students uh, December through September. But with those additional resources that we're going to provide in trainings, Monday emails, as well as on our website, you're going to have that supplemental information to make sure you're, kind of getting under the hood with the students, making sure they've got the details taken care of. But the handbook continues to be, really, really important and a tremendously valuable resource that really maps out your entire time as a mentor. Final question before we go into the handbook itself, Ben. Can you talk us through? You said that student pages make up actually most of the mentor handbook.
Yeah.
Why is that? It's a mentor handbook.
Yeah, sure. So I'm actually going to go ahead and flip down here so they can see what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. But in the mentor handbook this year, we literally copied the exact pages, page for page, from the student handbook and just basically put them in the back of your mentor manual, if you will. And the reason for this is if you are working with a student and the answer to their question is here on page 5 of your handbook, you can see the reference point here on the page down at the bottom where it says student handbook page 1. And this is a way for us to reference a student in their handbook, and you can see exactly what they see. I think there's a lot of value, and we've heard this over the
Mhm.
years from mentors. There's a lot of value in knowing what the students have, what information that they're seeing helps you as a mentor be able to help them, right? And so you've got exactly what the student's going to receive when they get their handbook here at their mandatory meeting. And it's going to make that process of helping them, as long as they keep up with it, obviously, helping them find that information in their handbook, find the answer to their question, and get that student on to the next step. As always, the electronic version is available for the students as well. So we've got the students always have access to a handbook. But I think just having that information in here is helpful. And you can see up here at the top of this page on page 5 of the mentor handbook, important note, the rest of this handbook is a direct copy of the student handbook. Want you to have that information and always at your disposal. And I think a lot of the information in the student handbook is helpful for mentors as well.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely is, right? I mean, as a mentor, you're serving students. So the information that students need is the information that mentors need. So that's why we make this change, or not make this change, but that's why the handbook's structured this way. It's so that you can get students the information that they need, which over the years has proven really, really valuable. Ben, if you want to jump in, I think we can now kind of jump into the handbook. Already done it just a little bit, but start sharing some of the key pages. Um, and the first one I always like to start with is this one. This is kind of our mentor program highlight page. As you can see here at the top, we've got a quote from one of our longtime mentors here in Middle Tennessee, Kelly Lancaster, who, as you can read the quote, just shared his perspective on mentoring, shared his thoughts on the benefits and value for students of mentorship. Uh, at the end of the day, this handbook is for you, mentors. It's for students. It's there to assist all those stakeholders we've got. And that's why we always like to include these sort of real human perspectives, because while the processes and the details matter, so do these stories. And that's why we always make space in the handbook to include these human perspectives, because it's human work at the end of the day. You can also see below the quote is the roles of a mentor. I tell every mentor, if at any point in your time serving students, you get a little bit lost or you get a little bit confused, and you can't quite figure out what your purpose is, keep in mind these roles, which we talked about at length before, but the task manager, resource, and encourager. Our students need those supports specifically. They need someone to remind them, they need someone to help answer questions, and they just need someone to be positive. So we include those in the handbook because I always say those are kind of a mentor's North Star. It points them in the right direction. That if you get lost, if you're a little bit confused, keep in mind these 3 roles, because as long as you're serving in these 3 roles, I can essentially guarantee you're serving as an effective mentor for students. But finally, on this page, and I think this is the most important section this year, is our 2024 mentor program update. This is quite honestly a big change for our program in the next year. If you've been keeping up with your emails, with some of our video content, what you know is mentoring in 2024 is going to look pretty different than what it has in the past. But I think that change is going to be a hugely positive one for your experience. So essentially, what the change is that rather than pair you with 10 students who maybe know they have a mentor, maybe don't know they have a mentor, maybe need the support, maybe don't, we are going to be pairing you only with students who have responded to a text message or an email from tnAchieves and said, yes, I want a mentor. Um, because, and this is in direct response to mentor feedback we've gotten over the years, we've heard you want to work with those students who say yes. We've heard you want to work with those students who need mentor support. And that's why this year we're going to get you those students who have said, yes, I want a mentor. And as you can see here, we believe it's going to lead to a couple positive outcomes: stronger student connections, smaller student groups, which likely everyone on this call can agree is a great thing. And then deeper student conversations, getting more in depth into their college and workforce goals. So it is a big change for the program, but it's a really positive change that I think is going to improve your experience and improve student outcomes. This does mean you won't be getting your student list until after that mandatory meeting, after you attend that meeting, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. But again, you're going to be getting those students who know what a mentor is, know what the support is, and have said, I want this support in my life for the next few months. Ben, anything to add on this page before we jump in?
I'm just really excited about this update. I've been working with the mentoring program for almost 10 years, and we've sort of operated in the same space with small adjustments over the years. The pandemic obviously caused us to change some things over the last 3 or 4 years, but I think this is a reflection of us listening to mentor feedback and trying to find a way to provide a mentoring program that is more personal and allows mentors to hopefully build better relationships with students. And so, just very excited to see how this year goes. But it is a big change. So, we're going to talk about that very soon here on the next page, actually, and the way that I sort of see the mentoring program operating.
Yeah, let's jump right in. And one thing I want to say too, as Ben changes the page, thank you to all of you who have continued to volunteer. I mean, the past few years, we've hopped on calls like this and talked about changes to the mentor program. And I think that having over 70% of mentors come back each year is a testament to how committed everyone on this call is to students, and how committed to this work. So we're always grateful to have that continued support. So really want to stress how appreciative we are. But it's time to talk details as far as that change goes and as far as that meeting goes. Your mandatory Tennessee Promise meeting is coming up. It's around the corner here, either in December or January. And these meetings are going to look a little bit different than they have in the past. As I said earlier, you are not going to be meeting with your specific assigned students. However, that does not mean that mentor attendance is any less important than it has been in the past. I would actually argue it's maybe even more important this year, because a big part of this meeting is going to be talking about the importance of mentors and giving students time to ask questions to mentors, have conversations with mentors, and essentially better understand the value of community mentor support. Because as soon as that meeting wraps up, within a few days, we're going to reach out to them and say, do you want to mentor? Yes or no? Students, we believe, are much more likely to say yes to that question if they've got a group of mentors at their meeting who are walking around the room, answering their questions, asking them questions about their college and career goals. So having engaged mentors at the meeting is really, really important. You can find a lot of great details outlined here on this page, but there's a couple of big ones that I want to highlight. This meeting is essentially going to count as your training for the next year. By attending, you will be eligible to be paired with students. We're going to have a section at this meeting where all mentors will sit together, and will present to you the same content students are going to receive, which I think is valuable. I think starting from the same base point will make your jobs easier in serving students. I'm also excited, honestly, from a really simple level, that we're going to have all mentors seated together for the first time. Because if you get there early or if you stay a little bit late, you're going to have a little bit of time to connect with other local mentors, get to know them, maybe exchange contact information so you can support each other as you support students. This is kind of a side benefit to this change, but I think it's going to be a fun change that you have that opportunity to network and talk to other mentors at your school. We're going to present the content, and then, like I said, we're going to turn it over to students to complete a career and values assessment. And during this time, that's when we're going to ask all mentors to get up from that section. And honestly, it's really just as simple as mill about the room. Students are going to have their hands up, run over to them and answer their questions. Hop into a student conversation and ask, hey, what's your career preference? What did you fill out for your number one value in the values assessment? I want to stress that during this time, there's no such thing as interrupting a student conversation as a mentor. Jump in, ask those questions, and engage with students. Because again, when you engage with students, they're more likely to respond later that week and say, yep, I do want to mentor because I had a positive interaction at my meeting. So the meeting is going to look a little bit different, but I think for you as a mentor, you're going to find the experience is enriching, it's informative, and it's your opportunity to get the ball rolling on serving students. And then within a week or two after that meeting, we're going to get you your list of students so you can start doing the work of serving students. And again, it's going to be a smaller student list. We're anticipating about 1 to 5 this year, as opposed to the 8 to 10 you had gotten in previous years. You'll also find some communication best practices outlined on this page. We're going to provide additional webinars in January to make sure you're successful in ongoing communication with your students. So I won't get into the weeds here today on this section, but just know we're going to provide a lot of great additional communication tips and best practices once you actually start working with students here in a few short months. Really in a few short weeks, I guess, at this point. Ben, anything to add here before we move on?
Yeah, when I was developing this page for the Mentor Handbook, it really occurred to me that there was this mentoring program this year is really kind of two parts. It's the reason I put a 1 and a 2 here. I see the first part of the mentor program being that meeting, right? It's a reactive space for a mentor to come in, learn, especially if you're new, learn about Tennessee Promise, learn about the Tennessee Achieves program and the things that we're offering for students. I think for mentors that have been around for a while, you'll see that this meeting presentation is different. We're bringing a different energy to the concept of college and trying to ensure that students are excited about college, but also know that it's not just community college or TCAD, it's all institutions in Tennessee. And I think that that presentation will be helpful for mentors as you move into that second part of the mentoring experience, the proactive side, where you're going to get an assigned student or two, and then your goal then is to sort of carry it through, right? See that student through college enrollment in the fall. So I know this is a big change, but I think for those that are going to participate this year, you're going to see that I think it's going to be really effective because you're going to have a chance to engage with students. And it's unlikely that you're paired with the student that you meet at that meeting, but you're going to get to help students who are having conversations about career goals and starting to really get those gears turning around what does college actually mean and starting to conceptualize what this college actually going to result in, right? Hopefully a career down the road. And then you'll have this chance to work students through the logistics of that once you're paired. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a fun change.
I am too. And I would say too, keep us posted. I mean, let us know how your experience at the meeting is.
Yeah.
Once you start with students, let us know how that's going. Because, you know, mentor feedback is why we made this change, and it's how we can better serve you in the spring, in the
Totally.
fall, and into next year. So let us know how it's going. I spend the first hour of my day each day answering mentor emails, and I'd love to get some feedback, hear how it's going, and make sure we're serving you as best we can.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's go ahead and move it on here for the sake of time. We'll hop on the mentor resources page here. Tyler, you need to walk through this? You want to do it?
And you can take the lead on this, and I'll
Sure.
jump in if I need to.
Sounds great. Yeah. So this page, I think, just outlines some of the things that you're going to find electronically on down the road, right? I think the Mentor Handbook in years past had a ton of resources in it, but most of them are better suited as an electronic resource anyway. And so while this is an overview of the handbook and then the in-person meeting is going to serve as sort of a training for you in the meantime, we're going to be offering this year, you can see down the bottom right corner here, ongoing mentor training. And this is something that we've tried to do in years past. And I think this is going to be an improved part of the mentoring experience that we've really never had before, where it's very intentional about trying to provide you a monthly update training on whatever the priority is for that season. So the first one we will have will be about staying in contact with students, and then the FAFSA. And we'll continue to have this real-time training ongoing throughout the mentoring experience. Like this webinar, it'll be recorded so that we'll send it out to you. We'll keep those in a repository on our website so that you can go back and watch them or just share them with your friends. But we will always be doing this ongoing training and providing resources to go alongside those. And I just really wanted to make sure that we highlighted that. Tyler, if you want to talk about the introductory communication, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're seeing at the top of your screen is really your jumping off point to communicating with students and their parents. When we send you that student list, this is going to be the template you use to reach out to students the first time, and also to reach out to their parents as a best practice. You'll have parent contact information. Obviously, personalize this. This is your jumping off point, some recommended notes in here, but make this personal and make this your own, because ultimately, mentoring is personal. We don't want it to just be the templates and to just be what we've included here in the handbook, but certainly use it as a jumping off point. One thing I would stress as well, this is not the only template we're going to provide to you throughout the year. Every email you get from us each Monday is going to include a template. It's going to include a text template that you can use to reach out to your students or use to reach out to to their parents. So monitor those Monday emails for ongoing templates, because again, while we want you to personalize those, add your own notes to it, that's going to make sure you keep with the cadence with the program and make sure that students have the information they need when they need it. So your jumping off template is here in the handbook, but monitor those emails throughout the year so that you can keep with the mentor timeline that you see here in the bottom left-hand corner, because the templates and the reminders we send will keep with that cadence. But otherwise, that's really all I have here on this mentor resource page. What I would stress is use this page, use the handbook, but monitor your email as well, because those ongoing resources, those trainings that we're going to continue to offer, we'll outline those in your Monday emails.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just really excited about this year. I think it's going to be great. So if you are on here and you have any questions or feedback for us, go ahead and start getting those into the chat or into the question and answer box. We'll have some time here in just a minute to answer some questions live on the broadcast, but I always like to close out with this page in terms of how you can get a hold of us if you have questions or concerns and what the communication cadence is going to look like for us. And you can see here the communication section. If there's one thing as a Tennessee Achieves mentor that I think is absolutely critical, is that you are, number one, receiving our emails. If you're not getting emails from us every week, that means we have a wrong email address for you, and we need to get that updated. So let us know if you're not receiving routine communication. But number two is that you're reading those emails and keeping up with it. We're going to send a lot of really important updates. I saw a note in here that somebody asked if we got rid of the suggested communication page in the handbook, and we did. We got that. We removed that from the handbook because what we realized is that we're going to send that in every Monday email that you receive, right? So we'll have a suggested communication sentence or two that you can send to your students in every Monday email that you receive, and that allows for us to be nimble. If we want to change the message a little bit, we can do that, and we're not held to whatever we've printed into the handbook. So I think it'll be a better resource moving forward because it is embedded into those Monday emails. And the text messaging piece of the mentoring communication, this is, I know during recruitment, you get quite a few texts from us. That will be scaled back over the next couple of weeks and months. And so that will be really held to reminders only and critical information that we need you to get. But Tyler, do you want to wrap us up here on this page and then we can accept a couple of questions?
Yeah, of course. The biggest thing I'm going to stress is you see that need help section. You're going to find the contact information for myself, Graham, Ben, Baylor, everyone on the Tennessee Achieves outreach team. You're going to get resources, emails, all sorts of communication from us to make sure you're successful. But our team fundamentally exists to answer your questions and to make sure you're supported. So if at any point you're like, hey, this doesn't make sense, I've got a student problem, whatever it may be, reach out to one of us, and we want to make sure you're supported and you are on the right track. Because in the same way, we've got a team of a lot of people supporting students on a daily basis. We want to make sure you're supported because you are truly one of our most important resources in supporting students. So please stay in touch with us. Let us know if you aren't getting our communication, and attend your meeting here in a few weeks. We are really excited to see mentors at the meeting. We're excited to see students at the meeting. And I think it's going to be a really exciting change, a positive change, and mentors continue to be really fundamental to the program moving forward. So thank you all for hopping on. And now if you've got any questions, please post those in the chat, post those in the Q&A, and Ben and I will make sure to cover them.
Yeah, I'm seeing a question here. I know that I mentioned that we're not just focusing on community college and TCAT this year, which I think is a really good change. And the question is, will we get more information about what options and programs are available? Um, you know, we will cover holistically what types of institutions are available in Tennessee in the meeting during our presentation. We have a wealth of information on our website, tnAchieves.org/colleges will take you to all of the eligible Tennessee Promise institutions that are available. But what I really encourage you as a mentor and also encourage students to do is to just go to those colleges' websites. They're all going to have all of that information already presented and available. There's also a really great resource that our state has created. It's collegefortn.org, and they have a college like an exploration tool, basically, where you can put in what type of program you're interested in, or what kind of job you're interested in, or what size college you're interested in, and it will populate a list of institutions that are in Tennessee that you could then explore their websites and go from there. So there's a lot of those resources available, and we will have those available to mentors on our website and that resources toolkit. So we'll do everything we can to make sure that you feel as equipped as possible to answer student questions, but always ask us if you are unsure. Oh, great
See another
question.
question.
Got a question about Connect. Tyler, you want to go there?
Yes, I do. So Tennessee Achieves Connect, a couple things here. If you're familiar with the Connect platform from a few years ago that included video chat tools, student messaging tools, profiles, that system is no longer in use. The website actually is no longer accessible to mentors. We made that change, quite honestly, because we found that students were not engaging on the platform at a high enough rate. We weren't setting you up for success as a mentor. And so now in the new year, and you'll receive access to this after you get your students, we are going to pair you with students in what we're calling the Connect portal. It's a simplified version, but I think it's a better version of Connect because it provides you student updates as far as community service, FAFSA, college preference goes. Provides you their real-time contact information so you can text them. We've always found text to be the most effective way of communicating with students, and it's updated in real time. So whereas that old system had about a 24 to 36 hour delay, this is as of the moment you log in, the data is current to what we have in our system. So that system will become available to you after you receive students. So we do have a student tracking portal still. It's just a little bit different version, but also I think a better version that you'll have access to.
I would agree with that. Well, that looks like all the questions that were in the Q&A, and we've addressed a couple here in the chat, but we're right at 9 o'clock, so I feel like we can probably wrap it up. I appreciate everybody for hopping on and joining us today.